y'all, hey, and welcome to Drawing Conclusions with me, Christina B. Thank you for joining us again. This is our usual Friday Murder Mystery with a Masterpiece segment. Hey y'all, today we have a sponsor and it's me. I do have a growing business by the same name, Drawing Conclusions, and we make several things. I make herbal smoking blends, and these blends are 100% natural and organic. They do not include any THC, CBD, anything. They're naturally occurring herbs that can help with different emotional issues, anxiety, stress. This one particularly is called Calm. It has a very calming aroma and smoke. It's formulated to combat anxiety and depression by evoking a feeling of calmness and tranquility. We do also have 4 other blends that do similar things for different needs that you may have. They do come in this 8-ounce jar, or you can buy them as a pre-roll. This pre-roll specifically is our Lucid Dreams pre-roll. They come in these cute little gold tubes that pop open, and they're already rolled for you to enjoy. We also make and sell lip scrubs. We have 2 different options. Caffeine Kiss, which has a base of coffee, organic coffee, and also Brown Sugar Baby, which has a base of brown sugar. Each of them also include oils that help to smooth and soften your lips. And after you finish with your lip scrub, we have a lip oil for you, our So Soft Lip Oil that uses almond oil, vitamin E oil, and also jasmine. It smells so good and it works very well to keep your lips soft and supple, like silky smooth. I use it every day, even when I don't use a lip scrub. We also make rolling trays. This is one of our most popular graduation. We make rolling trays. We make sets such as this one. We have Rainbow Wrap. It's a smaller tray that comes with a heart-shaped ashtray as well. We have ashtrays that come in different shapes and sizes. This set is a leaf-shaped ashtray with also a herb jar, and they do go together as a set. We also make custom pieces, so you can get anything that you want to on your set, ashtray, jar. We can do sports teams, business names, anything that you desire. So if you're interested, the link is in the bio. I sell at Etsy, also on Shopify, and you can also DM me on Twitter or through here to place a custom order. I hope you shop with us soon. Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about a case that kind of hits close to home for me. I know you're like, they all do, but well, yeah, I mean, we do stuff that we're interested in and that, that we can relate to, so this one does too. This case takes place again in North Carolina on a college campus. And when it actually happened, I was in college, and though I didn't specifically know this person, I did know people that went to school with her, and I frequented the campus during this time in my life when this happened. So it was like a huge thing. It was all over the news. It was a big, safety thing because it was so random and nobody knew what happened. And it happened on campus, which is like almost unheard of that, people are being brutally murdered on a college campus. For students, it's seen as, a safe haven. You're on campus. You don't have to worry about things. You don't have to, and you can kind of let your guard down because though it's a school, it's home, so it took away a lot of security for the students and, for people like myself that would visit the campus. But I am excited to cover this case now because there has been updates. It's been years and years, but there have finally been updates. So let's discuss. So, Faith Danielle Hedgepeth. Faith Danielle Hedgepeth was born September 26th of 1992, making her a Libra. She was born and raised in Hollister, North Carolina. And her parents are Roland and Connie Hedgepeth. Now, her parents did get divorced when she was quite young, and so she spent her time between the 2 homes of her parents. Faith is a member of the Halawa-Saponi tribe. It's a Native American tribe that originates in North Carolina, and she was a proud member. She also has 2 brothers and a sister. Her sister, Rolanda, is 18 years older than her, so she acted as a second mother in Faith's life. Extra support for a young girl, which is always needed. So Faith was 19 years old at this time, a sophomore at UNC Chapel Hill in North Carolina. She was at UNC on an academic scholarship, and she dreamed of one day becoming a pediatrician. So, as you can see, our picture for today is of a doctor in honor of Faith and the profession that she never got to have. Her dream was not only to be a pediatrician, but to take her practice back to her home city of Hollister, North Carolina, and service her community. So she really wanted to be able to help people and to make a difference. On Thursday, September 6, 2012, Faith went to a recruiting event for Alpha Phi Omega sorority. She attended this event around 6 p.m. and after the event, she went to Davis Library, which is the library on the campus of UNC, and she went to the library with her roommate, Corinna Rosario. After they finished studying, they went home together and arrived at their apartment at around 7:30 p.m. Now, Faith and Corinna were only temporary roommates. She was staying with her for about a month or so while her own apartment was getting ready for her to move in. They got back to the apartment around 7:30 p.m. A little after midnight, the pair decided to go to a club on Rosemary Street called The Thrill. Now, this club is known to be frequented by students that go to Carolina, and it's fairly close to campus, so it's something that both young ladies would have been familiar with. They were seen on surveillance entering the club around 12:40 a.m. And they were caught on camera leaving again around 2:06 a.m. And later when Corinna was spoken with, she said that they did leave the club that evening because she wasn't feeling well. So they cut the evening a little bit short, only staying at the club a little less than 2 hours and then returning back to the apartment. Now, from here, once they made it back to the apartment, Faith would call it a night, and she wouldn't be leaving the apartment anymore. She was in for the night, but Corinna would leave again. At about 4:25 a.m., Corinna was picked up by a male friend from the apartment. And when she left, Faith was asleep. And though Corinna left the apartment and she left Faith asleep in the apartment, it is noted that she left the door unlocked while she was gone. Now, since it was so late when Corinna left for the last time, being almost 4:30 in the morning, she did stay out overnight, and she didn't end up returning back to the apartment until about 11 a.m. When Corinna came back, she did come back with her friend Marisol Rangel, who had given her a ride back to the apartment. Marisol and Corinna, when they entered the apartment, they found Faith laying on her bed with blood surrounding her head. Corinna immediately called 911, and the call was received at 11:01 a.m. While on the phone with the 911 dispatcher, Corinna was asked to check if Faith was breathing, so that the dispatcher could give her instructions on how to provide life-saving measures such as, CPR. But Corinna was afraid to go in and touch her. The dispatcher did finally persuade her to, and when Corinna reached out to touch Faith, she stated that she was cold. So the dispatcher told her, to leave the room, don't touch anything else, basically trying their best to preserve the scene. When police finally arrived on the scene, they found Faith on the bed, just as Corinna had described. She was laying on her back, partially off of the bed, and she was only wearing a black t-shirt that was pulled up over her head, covering her face. Following an autopsy, it was found that Faith's head had been bludgeoned, and her cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma. There were also several cuts and bruises on her arms and legs. There was dried blood under her fingernails. These wounds were described as defensive wounds, which let the police know that there had been a struggle and Faith had fought for her life. There was also blood found splattered all over the walls and the closet door. Though the results came back inconclusive, it was thought that she had also been sexually assaulted. A Bacardi peach rum bottle that was normally kept in the kitchen was found at the scene and thought to be the murder weapon. It included tissue fragments from Faith and also blood. They did also find on that Bacardi rum bottle 3 fingerprints and a palm print that did not belong to Faith, and it was assumed to belong to the killer. Semen was also found on Faith's body, and when a rape kit was done, like I said, though it was inconclusive, there was also semen found inside of her body. Other DNA was found in areas around the apartment, and that DNA that they found around the apartment, blood and whatnot, matched the sperm and DNA that they found from the rape kit and the Bacardi bottle that is thought to be the murder weapon. Near Faith's body was a time-out fast food bag with "I'm not stupid, bitch," and "jealous" written on it. Now, the place where this bag with this written message on it was placed was the only spot in the area that was free from blood. So it's thought, of course, that whoever did this to Faith wrote that message afterwards and placed it there. A friend discovered a very odd voicemail from Faith that was likely a butt dial. It was assumed in the beginning that this butt dial actually captured audio of the attack, but after being reviewed by specialists, the police don't think that that's the case, that the butt dial may have happened earlier in the evening than the attack, perhaps when she was at the club with her friend earlier that night. Corinna, Faith's roommate, her ex-boyfriend was one of the first people that were interrogated by police. He said that he had been frustrated with the influence that he felt that Faith had over Corinna. They had recently had some issues in their relationship, and as friends usually do, Corinna went to Faith in order to get advice for what she should do, in regards to her boyfriend. And Faith advised her that they needed to break up. And Corinna's boyfriend did not like this at all, of course. He didn't want to lose his girlfriend, and he didn't want Faith to have that influence. Corinna did take Faith's advice, and she broke up with him. And it's reported that he threatened to kill Faith if Corinna didn't take him back. He was soon ruled out due to DNA, and several other men that were questioned and tested were also ruled out. This case got a lot of exposure. As I said, it was all over the news, in the newspapers. A lot of, true crime vloggers reported on it. There's also been rewards offered for any information that would lead to a suspect or arrest in this case. And I believe that the award amount was about $40,000. And though the case had so much exposure, it was everywhere, it still ended up going cold. The police DNA'd over 229 men, and each one was ruled out. In 2016, the police did what is known as a DNA snapshot, which takes the DNA profile and uses the genetic components in order to make a snapshot or a picture of what the suspect would most likely look like. They used this DNA snapshot along with ancestry DNA in order to help start to track down a suspect. Now, using the snapshot and the ancestry DNA didn't lead them to a specific person, but it did lead them to a family or a group of people that had enough similar markers genetically where they knew that, this is where they should be looking. So they started to talk to people or family members from that genetic group to try to narrow down an exact person or suspect that could be tested. Now, the DNA snapshot of the killer was done by Parabon Nanolabs, and the snapshot showed the perpetrator to be a Latino man with dark olive skin, brown or hazel eyes, and black hair. Now, on September 16th, 2021, 9 years and 9 days after Faith's murder, a man was arrested in connection with the case. Miguel Enrique Salguero Olivares, please excuse me if I said that incorrectly because I'm sure I did. Miguel was arrested in connection to Faith's murder. About a week prior to him being arrested for Faith's murder, he was stopped in Orange County for a DWI. During this stop and arrest for this DWI, his DNA was collected, but without his knowledge. Now, once they collected his DNA, they did run it through the system, and it matched the DNA from both the rape kit and the DNA that was found on the bottle of Bacardi that's thought to be the murder weapon that was in the house. They also were able to match his palm print to the palm print on the bottle. Though the fingerprints, the 3 fingerprints that were found, those results came out inconclusive. Now, after actually arresting him on the 16th, they did do a search of his home, and they also had a search warrant that would provide them with better fingerprint samples to be able to match them better to the bottle. Now, during the search on his home on September 16th, they found 6 cell phones and a laptop. It isn't said yet what was actually on that cell phone or laptop, those cell phones and laptop, but his lawyer is working to have that evidence suppressed, which is suspicious. One, it's suspicious that you have 6 cell phones, because who has 6 cell phones? But then the fact that they want to suppress whatever is on there is highly suspicious to me. Now, the reasoning is the lawyer says that it was an unlawful search and seizure. The reports do say that they had search warrants, so I'm not sure how that's going to play out. And not only did Miguel's DNA and fingerprints match, but the snapshot of DNA that they made, looked almost exactly like him. So the police were convinced that, this is who they had been looking for over 9 years. Miguel was born in March of 1993, meaning he's possibly a Pisces. We're unsure because we don't know his exact date of birth. He was born in Guatemala, and he's thought to have migrated here to the U.S. in 2010. It is known that when he first migrated, he of course didn't speak the language well, but he doesn't have any violent offenses on his record. He does have several DWI, DUI cases, but that's the extent really of his legal problems, which are driving issues, DUIs, DWIs, driving without a license, because of course you lose your license for having a DUI. So that seems to be most of the issues that he was dealing with, most of the legal issues he was dealing with anyway. And usually when we're looking at murderers, their first violent crime isn't murder. People don't jump from petty crime to brutally killing people. So it seemed unusual that, he didn't have anything else violent on his record and then to commit a crime such as this. Since he was arrested back in September, he has been held in the Durham County Detention Center. He's being held without bond, along with the DWI charge that he initially had. He is also being charged with first-degree murder. Faith's mother, Connie, commented on his arrest, saying, "I didn't do anything but cry and thank God and praise God. When I cried, it was tears of joy, tears of relief, knowing that someone had finally been arrested in the case." Conversely, Miguel's mother says that he's a good boy, that he wouldn't ever do anything like this. She claims that he didn't know Faith and he didn't know anybody that went to Carolina, so he had no reason to even be on campus. Other people that know Miguel, friends, extended family, what have you, they share those same sentiments, saying they can't believe that he would even be arrested for something such as this. He's just not that kind of person. So the investigation is still ongoing, though Miguel is in custody, and the police are being pretty tight-lipped about what they found out so far. For example, we don't know how Miguel knew or would have known Faith, but This seems like a very targeted attack, and with the note that was left, it would insinuate that they had some kind of prior relationship. It seems like a very angry or emotionally fueled attack. So you would think that the person that did this to her knew her in some capacity. But the police haven't yet released what the relationship was. They also haven't released what his motive may have been, or if he's even said anything regarding his motive. They really haven't given the public any kind of information. And the police chief, when he was asked to speak on it, just asked that the public be patient with them because it would take a while for them to gather and then give any information on the case. Now, Miguel's first court appearance was on September 17th, which is the day after he was initially arrested in this case. The first court appearance was just his initial court appearance. I don't think he even put a plea in. But yeah, his first court appearance was on the 17th, and he did appear in court virtually, because of the COVID restrictions that we still have going on. Shortly after this first court appearance back in September, there was a notice filed to mark the case as non-capital. And this means that whenever the case finally does go to trial, the prosecutor will not be seeking the death penalty for Miguel. And I think that's telling, because this seems like a case where the death penalty should be sought, but they're saying they're not going to be seeking the death penalty. So that leads me to wonder what information they've gotten from Miguel about what happened that evening. It's unclear when his next court date is. They haven't said, when he'll be going back to court. So we're just waiting, just like he's waiting. Now, it seems like that they're holding off on going back to court in order to gather evidence. But the evidence that they have is concrete evidence. They don't have any circumstantial evidence. It's all things that can be proven. They did the DNA snapshot that looks just like him. They found DNA at the scene and on the victim, and that DNA matches his DNA. They found fingerprints on the thought to be murder weapon, and the fingerprints that are on the murder weapon match the fingerprints of the suspect. So to me, it's pretty cut and dry. Everything fits. Might as well go ahead and lock them up, but for some reason they aren't. And that the fact they're being very tight-lipped about whatever's going on, we, the public, don't know, what the circumstances are. So it's making me feel like there's a lot more to this case than what any of us have originally thought. I'm eager to see, what other evidence will come out. I really want to finally hear what Miguel has to say. He didn't say anything in court. He has a lawyer, so his lawyer spoke for him, of course. So right now we're just playing the waiting game. I will be doing another update on this case as soon as there is some more movement in the case. I'm very glad, though, that an arrest finally was made, that the family is at least working towards getting some sort of justice, because it's been far too long without any answers and without any closure. And though it's still taking quite a long time, the end finally is near. You can at least see the light at the end of the tunnel. And here we go, our angel pediatrician. Though we do now have some answers, we have Miguel, he's in prison, he's in jail, waiting to be tried. I feel like that these answers have actually brought up more questions. Did Faith know Miguel? If so, how? Why would he do something like this to her? What did the note left on the scene mean? Jealous of what? Did they have some kind of relationship? Was he infatuated with her and maybe stalking her and got upset when she denied his advances? Were they actually secretly seeing each other, because it was said that she had a boyfriend? So was it some kind of secret relationship, and when he wanted to make them more than just a sneaky link situation and she said no, did that cause him to get upset and to lash out in this way? There's so many questions that we do not have answers to, and only time will tell. So we are just waiting for any more information to come out so that Faith's family can finally get the justice that they so deserve. But thank you so much for spending your Friday afternoon with me. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, talk shit if you got to. I love you. Be great. Be you. I'll see you soon.